Welcome back to Danny Park English Reading Show. I'm going to read you The Horrible Harry and the Field Day Revenge by Julia Klein, pictures by Amy Wolmer. Do you remember I read you chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 at the last video? Yeah, now I am going to read you the chapter 6, Water Brigand Washout. Let's read this chapter together and what Horrible Harry will do next. Are you ready? Yeah, let's start exploring this chapter together. Pew pew. Let's start. Water Brigand Washout. As we move to the second event, I tried to have positive thoughts. We were headed for South School's new nature area. It was shaded and involved more water. Mrs. Malalata, our art teacher, welcomed us to the Water Brigand event. She had a flower scarf tied around her hair and was standing next to a big bucket of water. I love your t-shirts, she exclaimed. What great artist you are. And that put a smile on my face. Okay, kids, let's get started, she said. In this event, you have to walk across the field with a cup of water. One partner will line up on my side. The other partner will line up at the other end of the field day, Mrs. Michelson. We all waved to Mrs. Michelson, our librarian. It was fun to see her in a baseball cap. Mrs. Malalata continued her interpretations. See how fast you can run over and back without spilling too much water. The first team you finish with no less than 6 August wins. Harry patted on the water bottle that was hooked onto his belt loop. I come prepared to go, he said. This will give us an advantage. And that's when my eyeballs jetted in on Harry's water bottle. The top had a spray trigger. Oh no, I thought. Was he planning to squirt extra water into the cup when no one was looking? As I walked over to the far side, I thought about what I could do. By the time I got Mrs. Michelson and her card table of filled water cups, I was freaking out. My palms were sweating so much I had to wipe them on my pants legs. Then I looked again at my hands. They were shaking. I took a full cap and went to the starting line. The water inside was beginning to swirl around and around. I could see the blackened line on the outside of the paper cup for 6 inches. The water level was now above it. When I glanced at my competition, Mary, Susan, and Ida were on the other side of me. The kid with the torn-off t-shirt was roaring to go. On your mark, Mrs. Michelson called out. Get set. I had to stop Harry from cheating. Go! Mrs. Michelson yelled. Ida, Mary took off like me, walking fast, holding their cup of water out in front of them. Juju ran ahead. As I hurried across the field, my cup looked it was attached to a milkshake machine. I shook constantly. Water began to swirling out. I could hear Harry yelling, "Go, go!" By the time I was halfway over to him, Juju had already passed the cup to Dexter. I was sure Harry would squirt more water into our cup. The water level was below the black mark already. Now there's no way we could win. Unless Harry cheated. Mary passed her cup to Sydney, who took up like a rocket. Mary gave hers to Song Lee. Song Lee walked swiftly but steady. By the time I got closer to Harry, I was so nervous I lost my balance and tipped over my own feet. My paper cup landed on the dirt upside down while I did a belly flop into the grass. I felt like crying. "Are you okay?" Harry asked as he dropped his knees in front of me. "I'm fine," I groaned. Harry offered his hand and helped me up. "We'll win next one," he said. And then he squirted water in my face. "You need a refresher," I added. "Thanks," I said. I whipped my dripping water off my cheeks. Did I disjudging Harry? I thought. Harry watched the rest of the race. Then he congratulated the dashing doorknobs, who won the event. Dexter and Juju finished before them, but they covered the last 6 inches of water. Mary and Song Lee came in second. "You just earned 1 point for good sportsmanship, Harry," Mrs. Matalata said. "You didn't complain how not getting a chance to the water began, and you were very understanding to your partner." Harry flashed a toothy grin while Mary rolled her eyeballs. "We're going to win, Harry. We're going to win, Duggo," Harry Dexter. "We can," I agreed. If Harry plays fair, I thought. I needed to show Harry that we could do that. As soon as Song Lee and Mary checked the teacher's clipboard, they started jumping. "We are in first place," Mary bragged. Harry looked at Mary. Sydney looked at Harry. "Your team and mine may be tied for third, but you're going down, Harry, in the next event." Whoa. That didn't sound good. I knew I had to keep an eye on Sydney and Harry. The war was about to begin. Chapter 7. Relay Revenge. Mr. Daltoy was watching for us at the next event on the blacktop, where white chalked blinds ended at the fence. "Welcome to the relay race, kids," he said. "Listen up. The first person on the team will run up to the fence and back for a distance for 100 yards. After you tag your partner ahead, your partner will run up and back. Whichever team finishes first wins. The South School record for running 200 yards in 37 seconds. If you miss the fence, you must go back and touch it. Got it?" "Got it!" Lots of us answered. I wasn't happy about Sydney and I lining up next to us. Sid and Harry were not a good mix right now. "You run first, Duck," Harry said. "I want to be the archer man." "Are you sure?" I replied. I noticed Sid was archman too. Leaving those two side by side bothered me. "Definitely," Harry insisted. "On your mark," the teacher yelled. I got ready to run. "Get set!" I faced the fence, wondering what Harry might might be up to. Then he had a plan didn't know about. Go! I took off. My eyes were looking straight ahead of the chain link fence. The steel wool loops were sparkling in the sun. I couldn't wait to touch them so I could turn around and check on Harry. I could hear him cheering. Way to run, Duggo! As I approached the fence, I came sideways for the landing so that way I couldn't lose on second turning around. Swish! I hit the chain link fence and raced back toward the other direction. I could see Harry waiting for me at the finish line. I had to get him before he did anything stupid to Sydney. I could see my competition as they raced for the fence. Zuzu had a good lead on second place. Songli and Ida followed. Halfway back, my eyes focused on Harry. His hand was waving at me as he waited for my tag. Sydney was kneeling down doing something. Smack! I slapped my palm, and Harry took off. Phew! What trouble could he get into now? I had given Harry a good lead, and he was encouraging it. As I watched Harry's accolade, I noticed his left shoelace was flipping up and down. I know his shoelace had been tied before he started the race, so that could only mean Sidney LaFleur. That rat! He untied Harry's shoe. I started to tremble. Then at his feet and stopped in his tracks. Fortunately, he started retying his left shoe. I counted the seconds it took him to do it. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, you tag Dexter. We took off like a lane. Seconds later, Sydney followed. 4 Mississippi, Dexter caught up with Harry, then whisked by him. 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, Dexter was almost at the fence. 7. Now Sydney passed Harry. At last, Harry lunged forward. She was tied. He was a good 15 yards behind Dexter, but it was gaining on set. Suddenly, Mr. Deltoy called Dexter's name. He had missed the fence. Dexter had to stop, turn around, and touch it again. What a break! Harry easily passed it, then approached the fence sideways. He lost no time changing directions. Go, Harry, go! I yelled. Everybody was cheering for their partner except Ida. Dexter was 10 yards away of Harry, but Harry was gaining speed. And Dexter did what good runners ever do. He turned around to see who was behind him. Harry! He was sprinting toward him. Sid was farther away. It was going to be close, very close. I stepped aside to give Harry room. Juju did the same thing for Dexter. Both boys shot across the finish line. Tie for first, Mr. Deltoy yelled and clicked his timer. 43 seconds. Dexter and Juju high-fived. Harry and I did a knuckle tap as they across the finish line. Mr. Deltoy came to the Mr. Deltoy came over to congratulate us. That was an amazing run, but next time tie your shoes better. Harry nodded. He never tattled on anyone, not even Sid, who ended up blasting second with Ida in the relay race. Well, Harry, Mr. Deltoy said, it was a great race, but you and Duck could have set a new record. That's too bad. He walked away, shaking his head. When Cindy came to us, Harry had a few words for him. Wasn't cool, Sid. No, it wasn't, Sid agreed. My bad, he says, still out of breath. You could have cracked your skull in two. I'm really sorry. I shot Sid a look. Then Harry and I raced over to Mrs. Flaubert and her clipboard. You're going to be room 3B's champs, Harry said. Mary folded her arms and glared at Harry. We'll see about that, she grumbled. I still have 2 events left. I may not be the fastest person in room 3B, but I can sure hit a target with a beanbag. The war wasn't over. Chapter 8. Tug-of-war tumble. Well, the beanbag toss was a total disaster for us. No one of the top scoring teams had earned a point. I was so nervous about the war I missed all 3 targets. Harry threw his bag way too hard. They would have been home runs in baseball. Barry was still thinking about the event as he headed over to the nature area. There I was, she said, ready to take a well-planned aim. And just as I tossed my beanbag, Harry goes, calf, calf, calf. Mayor, Harry laughed. I got a tickle in my throat. Coughing is not a crime. Well, most times you got the coughing act right. Then I began to throw. It messed me up. Not the 3rd time, Mayor. I didn't cough on your 3rd try, Harry added. Well, I was waiting for your cough, and that distracted me. Your beanbag crunched to the side of the board. Just missed the target again. Harry exhaled like a dragon. I knew I had to keep an eagle eye on Harry. If we were going to win the last event, it had to be fair and square. No more shenanigans, as my grandma would say. Mr. Scoochhammer, our computer teacher, was waiting for us at the nature area. Since he was waiting George, we could see his hairy legs. His red beard and mustache made him the hairiest guy in South School. Although our principal, who was standing next to him, was hairy too. Mr. Cardini had his mustache turned up perfectly on both ends. His t-shirt had a picture of Italy on the front and the 5 Olympic rings in blue, black, red, yellow, and green on the back. Bravissimo! Buongiorno, Mr. Cardini said. Welcome to the tug-of-war event. Get a pair of garden gloves from Mr. Scoochhammer so your hands won't get rope burned. Harry squirted some water in his mouth and then in mine. We want to be last, he said. Let's get the end of the line behind Ida and Sid. I nodded. We all watched the principal tie a red handkerchief in the middle of the rope. Mr. Scoochhammer placed on orange cones 2 yards on either side of it. Whicher Tim pulled a red scarf past their cone wins, Mr. Scoochhammer explained. You and your partner can earn 3 points together. But be sure you are on the same side as your partner, though. Mary suddenly appeared. I overreact about your coughing, Harry, she said. I'm sorry. I just want to win like you do. Mary shrugged. No problem, Mayor. Then she added, I noticed that you guys were both getting sunburned. I bet you didn't pack sunblock. Here, you can use some of mine. Gee, thanks, Mayor, Harry said. Then he squeezed some lotion into his hand and rubbed it over his lower arms and face. I need to. I did too. Thanks, I said. I was thrilled those two were making up. When Mary ran back to the front the other line, Harry and I got ready. On your mark, Mr. Scoochhammer shouted. Harry and I put our gloved hands firmly around the rope. Get set, Mr. Cardini yelled. Pull! The boatman roared. As soon as Harry and I grabbed the rope and started to pull, our hands slipped right off our gloves. We fell backwards into our grassy field while the rest of our team went flying forward. Harry and I looked up. We both had grass in our hair. Our gloves were on the ground, and the other team was cheering madly. We won! We won! Then we picked ourselves up. Harry and Sydney came rushing over. Why didn't you let go? Why did you two let go? We didn't, Harry objected. The rope slipped out of our hands. Then Harry and I stared at our palms. They were covered with grease. How did they get so greasy? Sid asked. The sunblock, Harry and I said in unison. I slapped the side of my head. Man, I thought, why didn't I see those Mary's sneaky plan? I wasn't just tipping on my own feet for missing targets. I was losing my smarts. It was Mary, Sid exclaimed. I remember now she offered you guys that stuff. I know she wanted to get you even with you, Harry. And make you lose. But it's not right that made all the rest of us lose too. I'm telling. Right while the winning team was still jumping up and down, Sid stormed there to the principal. Harry and I waited and watched as Sid gave Mr. Cardini ear for a fact. Then the principal made a beeline for Mary and had a few words with her. Boys, was she stunned. Mary looked like she had swallowed a bug. Scuss, Mr. Cardini. Mr. Cardini called out. Due to concentration, unfortunate event, you need to do the tug of war again. While Mary's team groaned, our side got excited. We had another chance. The principal came over and squeezed our hands with hand sanitizer. Rough and clean, boys, as he handed us another pair of gloves. On your mark, Mr. Scoochhammer shouted again. Harry and I grabbed the rope, got a good footing. Get set! I was ready to talk with all my might. Pull! Heaven ho, guys! Harry yelled, and our side started to drag Mary's team our way. Suddenly, we stopped going backward and being pulled forward. Now we were inching toward Mary's side. We can do this, guys! Harry yelled. Pull harder! Our side stopped inching forward and started hurling the other team our way. Sid was grunting as if pulled. Keep it up! Harry hollered. Inch by inch, we moved the red handkerchief closer to the orange cone. I could hear Mary screaming, No, no! Yes, yes! Harry and I answered as we yanked the red claws past our cone. Mr. Cardini blew his whistle. "We have a winner!" he shouted. Our team cheered as Harry and I slapped everyone 5. Mary plopped on the ground. She was poofed. "Magnifico!" Mr. Cardini exclaimed. Great effort, kids." I dashed over and checked our teacher's clipboard. Ida and Song-Lee were already there. Mary had lost 1 point for bad sportsmanship. Sorry. Sid lost one too, I whispered to the girls. He did, Ida replied. I saw him untying Harry's shoe when I was running back to tag him. That was awful. I had to tell the teacher. Took me a while to do it. When I looked over at Mary, she was standing with the principal. Sid was there too, and we'll discuss the consequences later, Mr. Cardini said. The Speedy Spiders are the winners for room 3B, Mrs. Flaubert announced. Congratulations, Harry. Congratulations, Harry and Doug. Harry and I gave each other a bear hug. Then Sid and Mary came up to us. I'm sorry about the sunblock, Mary said softly. I think I was this panicked. If I were in my right mind, Harry, I replied, I would have said no thank you. And I'm still sorry about the shoelace business, Sid chimed in. Well, Harry said, I found out how it feels when someone cheats you out of something. Doug and I could have a sad new school record today, but I didn't mess up you guys from during the jump roping, and I'm sorry about that. So we're even, okay? Just don't ever go near my shoelace again, Sid, or Harry held up a fist. I promise, Sid said, and he held up a fist too. Don't you tell jokes while I'm jumping rope. Won't happen, Harry agreed. I felt a big sigh of relief. The war with the Sid and Mary was over. Harry wasn't big fat cheer after all. Mary and Sid were. We did it, Dougal, Harry said. We did, I replied. Maybe with a few shenanigans, I concluded. I can't wait to pick the perfect prize for our class, Harry exclaimed. I can't wait to see it, I replied. The perfect prize. Chapter 9. The perfect prize. That afternoon, Harry kept watching the minute and hand tick away on room 3B's clock. It was 2:30 p.m. and still no sign of Mr. Deltoid. Mrs. Flaubert handed out popsicles so the wait wasn't painful for me. There was just one more thing I had to clear up. Hey, Harry, I asked, why did you bring the water bottle to school with a squirt nozzle? If you stay cool, it gives me an advantage. And sometimes I can a colors tickle in my throat. Then he flashed his white teeth. Harry, I thought. Well, you're right, I added. I needed to stay calm. I can't think straight if I'm freaking out. I really need to keep a cool head. You need to, Harry said. Then he squirted me in my face. Thanks, I laughed. Finally, the 3 o'clock, Mr. Deltoid came. He was carrying a big brown box. Then he let it drop off the ground. It hardly made a sound. Harry and Doug, come on up. You boys get the award last prize for your class. Everyone cheered and clapped except Harry. the last prize left? I inquired. Yes, Mr. Daddy replied. Replied, I want my winning score totals. The other room winners had some that 8 points, but you guys did a terrific job. Harry looked like his cat died. The perfect prize is gone then, you moaned. You can open it, Doug. Are you sure? I said. Harry nodded. I lit a flash and reached down the bottom of the box. It was a rolled up poster. Oh man, I thought, probably the 5 food groups. What a bummer. Suddenly Harry grabbed it. Wait a minute, he said, unrolling the poster. It was a picture of a huge hairy brown tarantula. Everyone stared at it. No one said a word. The perfect prize for room 3B, Harry shouted. I wonder why nobody else took it first. Then he ran to the front closet door and held the poster up high. This hairy beauty will remind everyone in room 3B that spiders rule. It was the perfect prize for Harry, the only holdover in the box. The end. This is dennypark. I read you The Horrible Harry and the Field Day Revenge. Next time I'm going to read you The Horrible Harry and I don't know. It's a surprise. See you later. Bye-bye.